What's up? How's it going, guys? Happy Monday. Hope you guys are all having a good start off to your week. I know we are getting ready here. It's a pretty exciting time to be a Carolina Hurricanes fan, that's for
Oh
sure.
my gosh, the best time in like my 10 years of Canes fan. This is awesome. I'm so excited.
I have to say, the team that got me into hockey in the first place was the Blackhawks. And, honestly, watching them go through their dynasty in the early 2010s and stuff, I don't know. This is definitely the most excited I've been for hockey since that time in my life, and it is unreal. I think we have a real shot, and I'm kind of shocked, honestly, hearing all of the. I still hear a lot of doubt. I feel like for the Hurricanes, regardless of them being like the favorites. So I don't know. What do you think about that? Have you seen any of the doubt yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's like a huge emphasis in the media being put on like the neutral ice play of Vegas, and there's a lot of talk about how that's gonna stop the Canes. Um, uh, and it's just interesting, right? Because the Canes narrative, as the Montreal series was like getting started, was that the Canes had like an easy path, and they weren't challenged up until that point. And it's crazy because you look at the path that the Golden Knights had, right? Like they had Anaheim and they had Utah, and then even with the Avs two best players were injured, and then they had a few players just not show up. So I think I don't think that I don't know. I
Yeah, no,
just not sure
I
how much to
agree with
buy
you.
into like the what's being hyped up.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. Like, people call out Carolina's path, like you said, but honestly, I don't think it was very much different from Vegas's. Honestly, if anything, I think both teams sort of had a similar path, respectively, in their division. And mentioning the Avs, I think you're right. Like, we saw a shell of what the Avs were, but there's also the whole stigma behind the president's trophy curse,
Right,
and
the curse.
like how much of a flex is it to beat the president trophy winners at the end of the day? Like that happens most of the time. In fact, several times in the last 5 or 6 years. I think there was Tampa Bay back in what was it 2019. I think had like one of the best seasons of all time, and then turned around and got swept in the first round by like Columbus or something, and then it happened again to Boston a couple years later, and it's like I don't know. How much can you really read into them beating the Avs?
Yeah,
I don't know how much that actually, uh, you know,
yeah,
garners in terms of like how good Vegas really is. Although I do think Vegas is a very good team. So I think this is going to be a good matchup.
yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I've seen sort of like similar to the Montreal series, the like Vegas sweat had the regular season sweep over the Canes, so like there's a lot of hype being put into that. Um, and I mean, I feel like there are some people that are really talking about the fact that completely different teams, right? Like you look at our roster, the number of injuries we were dealing with at that time, right? Like Seth Jarvis wasn't playing, Jacob Slavin wasn't playing, um, and we had a whole bunch of young guys up from Chicago playing for us. So no, I don't know. I think it'll be a good series.
I also think
Yeah,
Vegas was under different coaching then, and
yeah,
I haven't really watched their games too closely, so I couldn't tell you exactly how their systems have changed over the term of Tortorella. But clearly their games improved, and I know when it comes down to winning games, they've gotten a whole lot better. So, and I look at Carolina and I kind of feel like they have this momentum too. I don't feel like they're playing the same they were, back in October. And like you said, lots of injuries on that roster. So, I mean, yeah, regular season really means nothing, especially this late in the playoffs. I mean, maybe you look at the first two rounds and you can you can use it, but I still think they study it. But at the end of the day, I think at this point in the postseason, that's the last thing you're looking at. You're looking at the last couple of rounds and determining how teams are playing right now.
yeah, yeah. You also don't want to change up your approach too much, right? Like I feel like it's advantageous to just focus on what the Canes do well, in my opinion, and just like keep the craft perfect. Like obviously you want to be familiar with how you think they're gonna respond, but I yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we should dive into game five just a little bit. Just
Just a
talk
little
about
bit.
things
Take
we
a little bit of
liked.
a victory lap.
Yeah, a little victory lap. Well, and I think it does have a little bit of an effect here going into game one of the final series. So like I we had called out several things going into the Montreal series, and uh, regardless of starting slow, one of my favorite things to see was all our top guys getting some points, regardless of empty nets or, whatever the situation was. I still think that builds a major amount of confidence, and to kind of get that monkey off your back, kind of get rolling, get hot going into the finals. I think that's something that I'm not really too concerned about, and I hope they just carry into the next round.
Yeah, agreed. The sort of going hand in hand with that, like our second line catching fire towards the end of the Montreal series was really encouraging. It's not like they were non-existent throughout the early part of the series, but they weren't producing the same way they were against Philadelphia and Ottawa. Um, so no, that too was like really cool because you see Hall, Stankoven, and Blake all cooking. If you have those two lines going back to back, it's gonna be awesome. And good things are gonna happen. So it would be great if they opened the series tomorrow night and we're producing.
Yeah, I saw a stat during game five. It was something like I think line two had 17 or 18 goals for us this postseason, and I think the next closest line were all tied at five essentially. So, at least on our team. I don't know about other teams, but that is kind of insane. We have been getting so much good offense from our depth scoring,
Yep.
and I think that is one edge we do take. I think Vegas is deep, and veteran, but I do think that when you look at the depth side of the forwards, I actually think we have a little bit of an advantage. I think where Vegas takes their, end of the stick comes when, you kind of examine their top line guys. I do think they have two or three guys that would easily be, some of our best players in Carolina. Um, and I think we lack that, but I don't think that's slowed down our scoring at all. I mean, like you said, that second line has just been absolutely spot on.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. We could do just like a quick rundown, of the game. Final score 6-1. Carolina had three of the first, two of the second, one in the third. Um, shots. Carolina, of course, outshot Montreal. Montreal got into the 20s with 24 shots in this game. It still wasn't good enough. Not as many hits as the previous game. Carolina had 18, Montreal had 11, and an even draw on the penalty minutes at 10 apiece. So, um, you know, good game,
I mean,
right?
it
Like
was, yeah.
early, I think the big theme with Game Five that goes with Game Four is that 3 goal first period. You are starting with the opposing team at a huge deficit for the rest of the game, and that's it's a steep hill to look up at if you're going against it.
Yeah, I mean, they did not click the pause button essentially between game four and game five. It felt like it was just a continuation of the same game, and Montreal never got in it. Um, the shots were a little closer in that one, but to be honest, even when we were watching the game, I think we both called out the fact that in the third period, it didn't really look like the Canes were pressing on the same way they had been. They had I think they kind of realized that Montreal had, kind of keeled over.
Yeah,
And I think they didn't really want to risk injury. You're not trying to go out there, throw a check or something, twist something. Now you're going, and it's kind of like that. All right, let's keep them out of this game, but there wasn't really any intent, to go and score
yeah.
too much more.
No, I think with 3 minutes left, that's when that got pretty noticeable, right? That's when it was like, yeah, this is about done. It's the Seth Jarvis empty net to just like You can't even
What
say
was
put the final nail in the coffin because it was done after the first period.
yeah.
But no, you saw, like you said, that Montreal just sort of stopped playing too. There was they just stopped shooting the puck and they sort of skated zone to zone and let time run out.
Yeah. I think the two overtime losses are definitely. I think at that point for Montreal is just mentally kind of the battle was too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And they know where they're at in terms of their rebuild and all of that. And I don't think there's too much pressure on them to win right now. I mean, they made it way farther than the fan base I think expected it to.
yeah,
So at the end of the day, for them, they still had a great season. And to come this far, especially with all the young guys they have, I think that's only going to benefit them here.
yeah.
And yeah, so that's cool for them. But what was the power play percentage for us in Game Five? I know, I feel like that power play got going a little bit. There were still a couple opportunities I was a little sad we didn't cash in on. I think
Yeah,
there was a 5-on-3 we didn't cash in on, and then I know we didn't score on all of our power plays.
yeah. Both teams had a 20% on the power play, so 1 and
I
5
mean,
on both sides.
that is an improvement on our current playoff,
Yeah,
standard. So if we're playing with the 20% power play, I'm a lot happier than if we're playing with a what is it, like 12% power play.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Agreed.
hopefully we can see that stay hot. Vegas has not had the best penalty kill.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, they've played some decent teams, but I feel like they haven't played any of the top. And what are the Avs power play in this? Let's see, 20.6. I mean, they were pretty good. So I mean, I don't know. I think I think it's going to be a good special teams matchup for the Canes. To be honest, when you look at the defensive end, I feel like I would favor defense over the offensive edge.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something to consider. I think we definitely need to get that power play going, and that's a lot of those top guys, which we did see happen in Game Five. So I hope they carry that over.
I agree. I again, I think it just comes down to being a little bit more willing to have like Aho let one rip, and he found it in Game 4, right? And that was great, but it's like I want him to have faith in that sort of like just let it rip, because
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think that'll enhance the power play a lot if you just like guys trust in their shot and like feel that it's going in, like the
I
sort of like
agree. Yeah,
the Stankoven goal from Game 5 where he just lets it rip and finds the corner on Dovich. It'll be good. I think that I think that as long as we stay out of the penalty box, right? Like that's my biggest concern. Even though our kill is good, I just again
our five
staying
on five
clean.
plays better.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, five.
It's
We're good at
suffocating.
5-on-5 hockey. Exactly. Well, and so back to the power play real quick. It is kind of weird to me because I do feel like when you watch, they're generating good pressure and they're generating good offense.
Yeah.
Uh, it's just they hit the post or the puck goes wide or someone blocks it, and we just gotta find those finishing chances. Aho, like you said, has been finishing finally, so I think that's someone we should look to target on the power play. And then I think you know. Svechnikov has been hitting the post a lot. I feel like Svechnikov has had a lot of close chances
Yeah.
and not capitalized on them. I think that's one guy I want to start seeing put it in the back of the net.
Agreed. Agreed. I'm
What
just like
else
looking
do
at
we
some team
got?
stats for the Knights, similar to like what you were saying. I feel like I've not really kept up with them a whole bunch. Um,
I mean, they're a
outside
good
of the
roster.
yeah, and it's like outside of the general media coverage about the switch to Torts. Um,
Do you
it
think
just
that they're more dangerous? I mean, I don't know what the stats look like, but just in terms of like on paper, do you think they're that more offensively heavy-handed than a team like Montreal?
Uh,
That's something I
I
was
don't.
debating. They're younger, but they've got like Caulfield's pretty good. 50 goal scorer. Demidov, insane, very good playmaker. Um, Suzuki, Hudson. I mean, they have quite the offensive roster, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying
And
to like. I'm looking at their roster. I think our defense is just so much better. You know.
they do have a good defense as well, but I definitely agree with you. I don't think ours is just better on paper either. I think they play better together. I think um the way they play is it's special. I mean, this whole roster is at the end of the day, but I don't. I think they're even better than they are on paper, and on paper they're damn good. So I do give us the defensive edge.
Yeah.
Goaltending, goaltending. I think I give Carolina right now.
I agree.
Um,
I think it'll be interesting to see how Carter Hart handles the pressure
who
of
does Vegas have?
it's
Is there
Carter
like
Hart and Aiden
no? Is
Hill.
their backup Aiden Hill? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think he had the best season.
Uh,
But Aiden Hill is not a bad goalie.
yeah.
So
No.
I mean, I definitely think though if both teams goalies come into the finals as strong as they've played the playoffs, there's no doubt that I think I give it to Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
What
I th-
about? Go ahead.
I was gonna sort of talk about Mitch Marner and like shutting Mitch Marner down. Obviously,
Yeah,
he's had a pretty solid postseason. So yeah,
yeah.
it's tough for me because I guess I don't really understand his play style enough. I haven't been watching him or like the Leafs or Vegas enough to sort of you know definitively be able to call out what he does on the ice. But I'm just curious from your perspective, what did the Canes have to do to shut him down?
I think matchups in this series are going to be everything. Um, and I'm honestly not sure who Rod wants to match up against Marner's line. But Marner is a quick, shifty guy. He's not very big. So I think the Canes' physicality could prove to be a problem for him.
Okay.
That's what he dealt with in Toronto was, a lot of pressure, especially as one of their, top guys with a lot of pressure, to continue to get out of the first round. That a lot of the teams they lost to and a lot of the struggles he had were based around pressure and physicality.
Okay.
So I do think that if we match up against him well, if we get our lines out there right, that we can definitely shut Marner down. But he's a good player and he makes things happen. And I think for him, something we haven't really we've talked a lot about the stats, but there's storylines on both sides too. And I think when you have something to play for, that also, uh, you know, that fuels your team, that pushes you further. It helps you elevate to that next level. And for Marner, all season long, he's kind of been living this storyline of escaping Toronto. I don't know if you saw I think he talked to media and said something like, if Vegas wins the cup, he'll come out about his dark times in Toronto as a hockey player or something like
I
that.
did
Kind of a
not
wild,
see that.
like
That
a
is a
weird
crazy
tease,
quote.
a weird, a weird tease. I don't know if it's real. I didn't look into it too much, but I'm pretty sure he said something like that. And
Interesting.
you know, I don't know. I think for him, this is a big season to prove that he can do a lot more and kind of, I don't know, get rid of all the haters and the naysayers. He is a good hockey player, but I think he's done that already. So,
Yeah.
he got out of the first round. He went deep. He's proven that he can be a top player on a competitive team. So he's going to be good. And I think the thing that makes Vegas a little dangerous is that it's not just Marner. I mean, Marner's been fantastic, but Eichel is spectacular. Uh, Mark Stone is going to be an interesting matchup. I feel like him and Stahl are sort of similar but different at the same time. Um, so I don't know. They've got some players that we're gonna have to watch out for, and I think they spread them. They do try to use depth to their advantage. So it'll be interesting to see. I think Marner is definitely gonna be the big question though.
Yeah,
And
one thing that I think is interesting to think about with Marner too, and just in terms of like defensive matchups, right? Like this is going to be now Jacob Slavin's second time facing him in sort of a high pressure sort of tournament and atmosphere, because Jacob Slavin, I'm sure, had to do some work against Marner in the Olympics and the Four Nations. So I'm curious if you try to rely on that experience and expertise and just match them up against our best defensemen, and see if you could just clog the lane on them.
yeah, I think you know I think they might put Chatfield's line out there as well, try to match him with some speed. But I don't think Slavin's the wrong option. I think he's the nothing maker, right?
Yeah,
So if we're looking to shut down someone like that, and like you said, back to the Four Nations experience and the Olympics experience, he's definitely got to see him play. And if anyone's had, a good look at how he plays and how to shut him down defensively, I think Slavin's going to be our guy. So,
yeah,
uh, yeah, I think that's going to be a really exciting. I think we'll know. I think we'll know real fast. Not that there won't be adjustments on either side, but it'll be interesting. I think game one's going to start really quick. I don't think there's going to be a lot of goals, but I think there's going to be some chances.
yeah,
Even though both of these teams kind of limit that, I think like we're going to see some guns come out. So
yeah. You think we see a lot of physicality, a lot of hits?
I think to start the series, and it might continue. It kind of depends on how those first few games play out. But I think regardless, I think to start the series definitely, and I think for the Canes it might be an advantage.
Yeah,
Uh, Vegas hasn't played actually too many more games, but I still think the 3 games they played extra, and just less time off in general. I think you're definitely looking at a little bit of an advantage if the Canes can find a way to kind of gain that physicality
oh yeah, you know what we get to claim
advantage.
now? We get to claim the rest versus rust nonsense, right? Like Vegas has
I agree,
had the
but
more
Vegas
time
didn't have
off.
as long. How
No,
they've
I
only
know,
had
I
what?
know.
How long? When was their last game? It was like 5 days ago. I mean,
Yeah.
it is still something to consider, and we got to stay at home.
I
Home ice advantage. What do you think? How important? It's so hard. Like, really, you're just playing in a different arena at the end of the day,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But
I
what do
doubt
you think? Like, home ice advantage?
I man, I don't know, right? Like I'm like split 50-50 on it. Like the Lenovo Center, and it, it's always been rocking. I don't know what you hear from the player perspective, if it's like you could hear like the momentum carrying with the fans. I don't know. I like to think, yeah, if we can claim any sort of advantage, I'm down to do so. It's just cool. I would rather play Game 7 in North Carolina than
That's how I feel.
have us go to
Yeah.
Vegas, right? Like one of the main things you hear from former players and just like players around the league is how awful it is to play at Lenovo Center, because the visiting locker room is terrible. Um,
I
I,
think that's actually such an advantage that we have that maybe
yes.
no other team has. And I was curious if you were going to say something about that.
Well,
'Cause
yeah,
I
and it's
wanted to
like
say something about that.
you're in the Stanley Cup Final. Like I feel like as pro athletes and across pro sports, like there's you become accustomed to a certain standard of like locker room setup, and like the Canes just don't give that to you. I think that's huge when you're like in the trenches, and like if they could put you in that blender where they start to suffocate, going back to that at the end of the period to try and regroup, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a slight advantage. And I think, I don't know if there's another team in the NHL that has as bad of a setup. Do you know when they do those Lenovo renovations, are they supposed to to upgrade those at all? Is that in
Um,
the plans?
I have no clue. I hope not. I hope they just that's the only room in the building that isn't renovated. That'd be so funny.
Yeah, it kind of would be funny. It's the biggest fu to every team in the league.
Yeah.
Well, so going into I think round three, a lot of people would say Freddie Anderson, if we go to the Cup, is probably our Conn Smythe winner. Here's who do you take? I mean, round three he played fantastically, but we saw some pretty great performances from a lot of people on the ice, and I don't know if he's our clear cut winner anymore.
I don't know that he's clear cut. It depends at the end of this series, right? I would low key go Stankoven. I think he's been so reliable throughout every series, and it's just like consistently there. But the team is it's 12-1, man. They've all been reliable and consistently there, so it's too tough for me to tell, to be honest.
What if what if you had to pick an underrated, most underrated Conn Smythe vote?
Keandre Miller,
Who are you picking? Okay, yeah, I agree with that.
yeah.
Yeah. What about for Vegas? Who are you taking on Vegas? I mean, I know you said you haven't been watching, but hearing at the stat sheet, I think Marner's a pretty clear go for them, to be honest. But
Yeah. I think I agree with Marner. I don't
I
know.
don't think Carter Hart's been good enough
No.
to justify a consummate. I mean, he's played great. He's played good, but I feel like if goalies have to steal games, and I think we maybe Freddie hasn't stole us games, but he's done his job in the way we play. I mean, it's hard for a goalie to steal a game.
Yeah.
Uh, Generally, if it's kind of determined by our offense. At the end of the day, we only let in, what going into this next series, one and a half goals or something
Yeah.
per game. I mean, which is great. I love that. Vegas was at 2.5, I think. So that's where. But we don't. I don't know. I Utah, I guess, is an offensive team. I think they've got some quick guys who put shots on the net. I Anaheim's a pretty offensive team too. So, we look at our first two matchups. Ottawa, I feel like Ottawa is slightly offensive, but honestly, I give them more of a defensive edge. I don't take them as a team who goes out there and throws a bunch of
Yeah.
shots on net. And I don't think Philly's kind of similar. I think Montreal was the first team we got to see where
That was like
normally
their
Montreal puts
bread
a
and
lot of
butter.
yeah, they're exactly. And I think the Canes shut that down fantastically. So, Vegas, I think again, I think really comparing them offensively, those two teams, I mean, I think they have similar levels of talent when you look at the offense. They might be at different points of development, but when you look at like just the talent level on each roster, I think Montreal has a similar offensive build
Yep.
to a team like Vegas. Vegas might have a little more depth in their on their second line, but you know I don't think they have as much offensive contribution from the back end. So I think the Canes have a really good matchup going into
I
this
think
series.
so too. I think it like that's my gut feeling. And usually, so I when I see my teams like in football, I'm a 49ers fan. When I see them in the Super Bowl, like I don't know what it is. I've always had like the gut feeling that it's not gonna go well. This is the complete opposite. My gut tells me that the Canes are in a really good spot to like be in control in this series. Um, yeah, I don't
Kind of
know.
agree with you. I feel similarly. I will say the only thing that I the negative side of my mind says what I mean, we've only lost one game. We haven't really faced. I mean, we've faced adversity through games and through series, but we haven't like gone down in a series and had to like respond to that. And I think if there's one thing I'm worried about, it's that we haven't had that. I think there's been games where we've gone down and we've kept our composure, but I think it's very realistic that Vegas comes in and takes a game, takes two games. I mean, Montreal took a game. I guess they responded pretty well.
I don't see Vegas getting two in Raleigh to start it.
I don't either. To be honest, I really don't. In fact, I think it's more likely that we go and steal uh, two games than it is that they take the first two.
100%, 100%. One thing I'm looking at now, and I sort of saw it on some of the like media day coverage that I was watching today, is like the records, the regular season records, right? Like Vegas is 39, 26, and 17. The Canes were 53, 22, and 7. Canes won 14 more games, you know?
Yeah, I think so. Another thing I didn't get to touch on, and I guess it kind of ties into that, is you know I think Carolina also has an advantage when you look at their systems, purely because they've played these systems for so long that I almost feel like it becomes more natural. And I feel like adjusting becomes more natural, and fine tuning that to specific situations becomes more natural. Whereas a team like Vegas, who's under a new coach playing new systems, does not have that same advantage.
Yep.
These are new systems that maybe some of these guys have played, or all of these guys have played at different points, but you never know whose strong suit that is. And I think we've built our entire roster around our system, and we've played it for 8 years at a competitive level. So, I think that is something that I like. A lot of people say they have not similar systems, but similar outcomes when you look at shot suppression and, you know, really producing, offensive chances. But I think the Canes are going to be a little more seasoned in their own game, if that makes sense. And I think that's definitely going to have an effect on the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the other thing I look to is just it's undeniable, right? The Golden Knights have more guys with like a ring and championship like experience and pedigree now than the Canes do. There's a lot of guys on the Canes going into the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in their career. Um, so I don't think it'll be an issue, but I really hope that, and I think Rod and the coaching staff are going to do a great job at it. But I hope they don't get too amped up like they did in Game One of the Eastern Conference Finals. I I don't know. I just have so much belief that if they go out there, they play their game, they're going to be a okay. Um, and I'm sure
Yeah,
they know
yeah,
that better than anyone.
yeah.
So
So I hear a lot of people saying long series, long series. What's your prediction for the series? Give us a little rundown. What do you think?
I don't think it's going to be a long series. Remember what I said? My bold prediction after Game One of the Eastern Conference Final. I said they go.
You say Canes in five.
I did.
Canes in five.
I did.
Are you
Um,
taking the same thing here?
I I think it's Canes in five. Yeah, I don't think it
All
goes
right.
long.
Okay. Yeah. I think I get the long argument. But to be honest, I think both of these teams, the way they're structured, I think the dam's gonna give on one side or the other. So I
Yeah,
kind of agree with you. I don't know if it's gonna go 6 or 7. It could. It definitely could, and I would not be
anything's
surprised.
possible.
I think absolutely. I think the way these teams play, if they both stay consistent, they both stay strong, and this is what everyone thinks it's gonna be, just 1 to 2 goal games, back and forth. 100%, it's gonna go 7 series, but or 7 games. But I think there is real potential for one side or the other to break through and to just be absolutely dominant. I think we've seen that from both of these teams going into this finals. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I think the Canes have all the right tools to impose their will on Vegas. I don't think it's much different. I mean, it is different than every team we've played, but I think the same expectations have kind of been thrown at the Canes before each round,
Yeah,
and
and I
they've
don't
met
think
it with no fear.
the quality is significantly higher or lower either, right? Like I think it's a manageable task. I don't I do think there's going to be a bit more scoring, right? Like the Canes are incredibly hot when it comes to scoring. How many goals did they have in their last two games? Are they at 11? I think. Um,
10, 11, yeah.
yeah, I think the we see some puck in the net action. Um, Again, I don't know that the Golden Knights have seen the shot volume that we're going to produce. And I don't think that just because you're good in neutral ice, the shot volume is going to go down. I think the Canes are going to get the puck in the zone and ultimately do their thing and sort of just get a lot of guys on the puck and throw it at the net.
Yeah, well, and the Canes have a good, breakout system. I think that's going to affect Vegas's ability to contain neutral zone pucks. I
Yep.
think we're gonna get going with speed. I think we've been really good at that all playoffs. And if you're Vegas, who's been great at shutting teams down, I think when you look at a team who's doing it perfectly, that's a little scary, right?
Yeah, and you look at our second line, Jackson Blake and Logan Stankoven and Taylor Hall are great at getting the puck back, and forcing turnovers from the other team. Our sticks are like not only amazing because of Jacob Slavin and our defense, but our offensive sticks as well are really good and they're really gritty. And it's always so cool to watch, just like Logan Stankoven, who is so much smaller than everyone, just fly into a sea of dudes along the wall and come out with the puck. I think it's such a valuable asset, and I think it's going to work in our favor.
Yeah, I agree. I'll give my prediction real quick. I'm gonna take. Ooh, I could do something very devious. I don't know if that's my actual prediction.
Are you going to say
I
the Canes sweep them?
did. How cool would that be?
Dream
What a
scenario, man.
statement. That what is? Should I just do it for the sake of it? Put it into the world somewhere.
Yeah, dude. Hey,
You know what? Why not? You know
there's
what?
no
Why
shame in
not?
optimism. No shame in
You
optimism
know
at
what?
all.
Why not? Let's go Canes in 4. I don't think that's truly a very good take, but I'm gonna take Canes in 4.
Hey,
I think that would be the statement. If they do that, there's no way people sit here and you know call it a Cinderella run, right?
no, man.
Because
I
they
mean,
just
yeah. So
dominated everyone. I
literally,
mean, like they
literally,
dominated.
yes. There's always going to be someone, right? There's always going to be the one person that's like, oh yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah,
it's a cupcake trophy now. If
but we're
they if
seeing like a
they pull
lot of
off a
people.
swift or a sweep, that would be a historic playoff run and cup run. I
To be clear, I think it already kind of. Well, I think going 12-1 is the
well, yeah,
fewest
yeah.
games in the modern era of the playoffs to go to the Stanley Cup Final, right? I feel like we're already doing that, but I guess it doesn't mean much if you don't win the cup, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think I don't know. I've listened to Rod. Rod sounds like he's ready for this.
Rod's having
I like the
fun.
way.
He's
I
loose.
agree. I was gonna say that the pressure seems not. It's not that there's no pressure. It's not that the Canes aren't coming into this ready. That's not how Rod or this team works. Um, but I think, uh, I think he's trying to keep everyone calm,
Yeah,
keep the pressure off. I think he's trying to minimize the amount of pressure he's pinning on each player, and I think he does that by rolling lines, by everyone coming through, working hard, and
everyone's
it's really
bought
showing
in.
off.
They know their
Yeah,
role. I love it. Um, I think I think that one good thing is sorry, another good thing. I say that so much. It's just like how much experience Rod has with the team and his trust in the team. You look at Torts in Vegas; they have yet to really be tested, right? Like truly, they have done is won, um, and it's like again, I will venture out to say that the quality of opponents that they have faced is significantly, honestly, a step below that of what the Canes have faced. But that's a different story.
I mean, even if you
How is
just
the
wanted to
team?
say they were the same, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but
even if they were just the same,
yeah, yeah. To my point though, what is the team going to be able to rally behind Torts if the Canes go and take games 1 and 2? You know, How is that buy-in, right? Like they
I
haven't
will
really
say for
paid
Vegas,
for or played on the back foot like that.
I agree. But I think you can only read into that under Torts so much. I mean, he's a very good coach.
I don't think you
And
could read into it at all, right? Like that
no,
that's
no,
the thing
no.
that fans get to read into. I don't think that the Rod or the players are
Yeah,
thinking like that at all.
no, definitely not. And I I think for them, I almost feel like they have a strength over the Canes in some ways. Oh my gosh, sorry about that, guys. A firework just went off outside. Um, but I think really that the Golden Knights have, like you said, veterans, people who have been to the Cup before, and it's some of their top guys. And I think uh, that's kind of their saving grace in those situations. They're not gonna freak out. I don't think. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Canes will take it to them so hard that we'll just watch Vegas get disassembled.
Oh, I hope
But I
so.
do think that they have a good veteran core that will keep them, just like the Canes, pretty composed. And I think that's what's going to make the series so exciting. Is it's going to be two. I don't want to call it disciplined, but disciplined and true to their system teams. And I think that's what makes it an exciting hockey game, regardless of the score. Right? I think people
Yeah.
people can watch a 2-1 hockey game and call it a boring hockey game, but I don't really think that's true. I think if you actually watch and you enjoy the sport, that sometimes those are the most exciting games.
Agreed. Agreed. This is it. Like I, you see both sides of the coin on social media, but there's a lot of people saying it's like a boring series. But there's also like I think an even larger voice that's out there that's like this is a really good matchup. Like in terms of high quality hockey, this is an awesome matchup. It's not as gimmicky as like Florida plays. This is just two highly specialized teams going at it. I am excited for that aspect of it.
Too, I think it's a great matchup. Like you said, Florida out. Some of these teams that have been there a couple of times over the last few years weren't even in the playoffs this year. We've talked about that a little bit, prior to the playoffs throughout the whole season. Really, is that the NHL is going through one of those, generational shifts. We're getting through one of those kind of like 10-year windows where the teams who compete are kind of flushing out, and we're getting some new faces. So
Yeah.
I think that's what makes finals like these so unpredictable and so fun at the end of the day.
Agreed. Agreed. As we sort of gear up to wrap up this episode, I was just wondering if there's been like any sort of interesting or fun things that you've seen in like the media coverage since the win or in lead up to the cup final.
Nothing that I can think of off the top of my head. Like I said, I feel like I've seen a lot more doubt than I was expecting after the Canadian series. But I still feel pretty confident in Carolina's ability going into this. And, I like you said, it's going to be a great matchup, fun series to watch. So I'm really looking forward to getting to watch the game tomorrow. I hope we get off to a quick start and kind of establish our game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, guys, another firework.
We'll try to go live tomorrow after the game.
Yeah, short little game recap.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's in good spirits and not poor spirits. But
I
yeah,
believe.
I'm I believe as well.
And
I wanted to touch one more time too. Like I think stories. I think what makes this matchup so fun is the stories on both sides. I mean, Vegas is like the poster boy of the NHL right now. They've been good since they came into existence,
they're
right?
the Los
And
Angeles Dodgers of hockey.
yeah, and then you have Carolina, who I mean, we have Freddie, who just went through the passing of his agent. Rest in peace. And we have a team that's been knocking on the door for 8 years trying to get here, and they're here.
Yeah.
And I think Keandre Miller. I think we got all kinds of stories on our team. I think Vegas has the same thing in Marner and wanting to win another cup here before they kind of go through their rebuild. I think this is going to be an awesome finals.
Yeah, we have a lot of babies on our team, bro. Did you
We do.
did you see that there was another baby that was being born during Game Five
Oh
of the Eastern
no!
Conference Final?
Wait, who else was being born
I want to
in Game
say
Five?
I want to say maybe it was Chatfield, having
Oh my
his
goodness!
second. I
See, see, I feel like I'm not even religious, but I feel like God is blessing this team at this point.
right.
They're getting all these things out of the way before the finals. These guys are going to be focusing on hockey, and they're going to be riding these highs and just absolutely having the best time of their life. Rod keeps saying, make memories, right?
Yep.
It's not about the wins or anything. It's about going out and making memories, and I think that's something that's been driving this team all season long.
Yeah, yeah. It's I'm looking at it now. Yeah, it was Chatfield, and he this is the third kid from the defensive side of the puck on the Canes in the last like month. so
So does this just mean last year during the playoffs they were just going crazy?
I don't know
Like
about
maybe
that.
post playoffs they all had some fun and went and celebrated.
Who knows, man?
The
I
baby
love
boom of
it
the
though.
Canes.
I love it though, man. They all got the dad strength and the dad power behind them.
Yeah,
Uh,
it gives you superpowers, right? I
yeah,
think it has to.
so I've heard.
I think. All right, guys. Well, we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. It's an exciting day. So, what I think puck drops at 7 or
Oh, let me check.
8 Eastern. So we'll probably go live right after the game. And yeah, hopefully the Canes come out firing. I think we both have faith. So
Yeah, definitely. Thank you all so much for listening. Just a reminder: follow, subscribe on whatever streaming service you're using goes a long way for us. Just starting out, but we really appreciate any and all support that we can get from you all, as we look to like grow our audience and be able to engage with you in further episodes and content opportunities. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I hope you all have a good rest of your day, night, whenever you're listening to this.